Welcome, everyone, to the Purpose for Life podcast. I'm Suzanne Roberts, your host, and this is Wisdom Wednesdays. We're going to start at the beginning of what the purpose for life is through my lens. And that is, as we've spoken about before, that our soul, which is a drop of the eternal ocean of love, is pulsing through our physical form in order to remember itself. That we are a radiant soul, a drop of the eternal ocean of love. And there's an opportunity in this very life for us to focus our attention in such a way that we can have access to our own inner radiance in an unapologetic and liberated way. And we do that through a few steps. One is working with our mind to be able to observe our mind and not be seduced into its thoughts repeating over and over again, but to observe the repetitions and to make choices about what we want our mind to repeat. And the other thing is to cultivate stillness. And we cultivate stillness by using our attention, which comes from our soul, and we focus our mind with that attention. And we have a choice of where we want to put our attention. Do we want to use our attention to tune inward to the radiant power of life that's pulsing inside of us? Or do we want to use our attention to try to pursue things in the material world that are ever changing and constantly moving and ultimately elusive? Whereas what's residing inside of us is eternal. What I want to talk about today is how to look at the difference as we're walking on the path towards our radiance. What's the difference between aloneness and isolation? Because I think that's been confusing for me, and I can only imagine it might be confusing for you. Because to me, the aloneness, when I'm connected to that radiant life inside of me, aloneness is luxuriating. And in my aloneness, I find being part of an inner web of life because the energy residing inside of me is an energy that's part of all of life for all of creation, and I'm one ray of it. So in that aloneness and stillness, finding that inner pulsing inside of me, my aloneness is nourishing. I'm getting fed by a self-renewing energy inside of me, and I'm actually part of a whole that's greater than just me, and that's magnificent. Now I can be alone inside myself like that in a room with other people, or I can be alone like that walking in nature or sitting in meditation. So that way of aloneness is nourishing and life-giving. Isolation is something else. It's when we use our attention and our mind to isolate ourselves from our deepest self. It might be hiding somewhere inside of ourselves or tucking away where we don't allow ourselves to know our own radiance. And we most likely did that to survive. And also, it might be a sense of isolation from other people where people were maybe hurtful or dangerous for us in our past. And so isolating seems comforting when actually it isn't helpful. And I think it's hard to know that difference inside of ourselves and be honest with ourselves. It could be I'm sitting in meditation and I'm actually keeping myself separate from myself in an isolating state from myself. Now, physically, I'm alone, but I'm not in that aloneness that's nourishing. Or I could be in a group of people isolating inside of myself and really from making contact with other people. So it isn't really dependent on our physical circumstances. It's dependent on the nuance of paying attention to, am I actually cultivating through my stillness contact with the deeper self, the deeper radiance inside of me, and doing that in aloneness Or am I inside myself, keeping myself from myself? And that could show up internally and externally. So I want you to consider today, what are ways that you understand isolation where maybe once upon a time you found it comforting, but it actually no longer serves you? And also ask yourself, when is it ruling me and I'm not actually choosing it? And then when and how do you find ways to luxuriate in your own aloneness? For me, it is finding stillness in meditation when I'm tuning into that radiant life inside of me. For me, it's being in nature. And for me, it's when I'm around people, not paying attention to whether I'm fitting in or not fitting in, or comfortable or uncomfortable. It's being around people and having part of my attention tuning into that radiance inside of me, so that even if I feel awkward, I have a pulse on a nourishment inside of me. And then I make different kinds of choices for myself. All this is in the book. It's Deeper Than That, which is launching October 15th. You can come live in Columbus, Ohio, or you can live stream. And if you go to unifyingsolutions.com to the book portal, you can pre-order the book now. I'm so excited. We're going to have an incredible event. So today's exploration is, as we're seeking to know our own unapologetic radiance and remember and return to the truth of who we truly are, how are you operating in aloneness, and how are you operating in isolation? Thank you for listening in today. Feel free to reach out and contact me, Suzanne at Unifying Solutions, with any thoughts you might have or reflections on today. And we look forward to being with you next week. Have a good week.